Presumably, someone looked at a character like this and thought, what if he was
a dame? A woman?
And here we are. But before jumping into the what, let's look at the why. Something I imagine many of you might now be wondering. Why? Why does this exist? Well, the answer has its roots in the rough spot Tokusatsu was in throughout the 2000s. Here's a quick summary of the situation. First up, Godzilla. Following years of diminishing returns across the board and sharply declining popularity, Godzilla Final Wars bombed in 2004 and ushered in the darkest age in the franchise's existence. Toho, not sure what to do with Godzilla, had announced a hiatus and destroyed the big pool where many of the studio's water-based special effects scenes had been shot since the 60s, and it would be a decade before an original Godzilla feature hit theaters again. Next, there's Gamora. In spite of the glowing critical reception that the 90s revival series received, the films were only ever at most a modest success at box office, and the third film was a financial disappointment. But, following the commercial failure of Gamora the Brave in 2006, the sequels were cancelled, an animated series meant for Cartoon Network was scrapped, and the franchise was shelved indefinitely. While he has since popped up in video games and a 50th anniversary short screened at New York Comic Con in 2015, the post-Brave years would be Gamora's longest absence from the silver screen. And during this period, Tsuburaya Productions, the company behind the Ultra series, was always only one wrong move or two away from folding over, and come late 2007, that's exactly what happened. Plagued by countless financial hardships, the company was bought out by TYO Inc. and Bandai. It was truly the end of an era. As far as Giant Monster Media was concerned, things were looking pretty grim. But, looking for ways to broaden the appeal of their acquisition, Tsuburaya's new owners got experimental. Anime and manga was a bustling market at the time, and it has only gotten bigger in the years since. So, why not tap into it? Sure enough, a few major projects can be traced back to the early 2010s. The manga that the Netflix Ultraman anime and its upcoming second season are based on was originally published in 2011. The Ultra Monster Anthropomorphic Project dates back to at least 2013, and Studio Trigger's SSSS Gridman and its sequel got their start as a 2015 animated short for the Japan Animator Expo. But believe it or not, this was not the first example of the Ultra series turning to anime in its hour of need. During the oil crisis of the 70s and the resulting rough spell it meant for tokusatsu production, Tsuburaya Productions and Sunrise collaborated to produce 1979's The Ultraman. Yes, that is the same Sunrise behind Mobile Suit Gundam, and yes, it was released in the same year. Also, yes, the father of Gundam, Yoshiyuki Tomino, storyboarded the final episodes of The Ultraman. Anyway, The Ultraman performed well. Very, very well in fact. Mobile Suit Gundam on the other hand did so poorly it was cut short. However, in a twist of fate, The Ultraman would get bogged down by studio politics and left to be mostly forgotten in the sands of time, while Mobile Suit Gundam would eventually go on to become a cornerstone of anime. But, let's get back to the future for now. The modern Ultraman anime and manga, Trigger's animated takes on Gridman, and the sexy makeover for the kaiju are all unique spins on classic properties designed to win over viewers who might otherwise not give something like Ultraman a chance. In the best case scenario, this stuff acts as a gateway back to the more conventional properties, but even if some viewers don't take the dive or stick around, these experiments still have their usefulness. Think of it like a safety net, or supplemental income for the main installments. Those suits, buildings, and explosions aren't cheap, you know. With all that said, let's see just what this Kaiju Girls thing is. Kaiju Girls, aka the Ultra Monster Anthropomorphic Project, is a multimedia series that allowed artists to reimagine the various machines, monsters, and aliens of Tsuburaya Productions as beautiful women and girls, trading the men in full-body rubber suits pretending to be giants for normal-sized women in cosplay, or actual monster girls depending on the continuity. We'll get into that in a moment. At any rate, the transition treated most of the kaiju well. Many are readily recognizable in human form and sport great redesigns. Zeton became this. Commander Black went from an elderly Japanese man to a young anime lady, and so on and so forth. But hang on, there are different versions of the same characters in some cases. Here are 3 different versions of Zeton, for example. Why is that? Well, several different companies were allowed to take a stab at the concept, and thus there are several distinct versions. The most popular version is by Kadokawa. If you've seen the Ultra Kaiju Girls, it was probably this version. The other versions were made by Tokyo Otaku Mode, Plex, Pop, Kodansha, and cafe-exclusive versions were made by the artist Utamaru. To make this easier, for the most part, I'm going to try to talk about them all as a collective, and distinguish them as necessary. So, between all of these projects, the timeline goes roughly like this. The earliest traces of the subseries that I can find date back to 2013, with figure company Plex releasing this reinterpretation of Eleking. Figures for Zetan, Gamora, and Alien Guts followed. Next, in late 2015, figure company Surprise Next released the Kanakawa rendition of Alien Magma from Ultraman Leo. Also in 2015, Griffin Enterprises launched a line of Kaiju Girl figures based on the pop version of the characters, starting with Baotan in August and Zetan in September. On the manga and light novel front, Galaxy Days by Kanakawa started in 2014. I read a decent chunk of this one, and it's basically a comedy slice of life that plays with the essence of the original kaiju, just translated to everyday interactions of high school girls. And it's okay. Of course, there's a wealth of references and use of actual characteristics of the kaiju. There's Mephiles trying to convince Zetan to give up her big sister, a nod to this from episode 33 of the original Ultraman. Unfortunately, the writing is far too generic and content with relying on the appeal of cute girls doing cute things, which only goes so far without the writing being exceptional, and exceptional it is not. That brings us to the Ultra Kaiju Humanization Project, featuring Pop Comic Code, which first dropped in 2015. In this version, the monsters of the classic timeline are reincarnated as high school girls after their canonical defeat at the hands of their respective Ultraman, and are forced to attend Monster Graveyard High School. So I guess, in a way, you can call it High School of the Dead. Most kaiju have accepted their fates and are basically reformed criminals, but Alien Mephiles and Alien Temperor are eager to get back to Earth and finish what they started. But they end up trying to conquer the hearts of man as an idol group. Honestly, this one is a lot of fun. A page-turner, or page slider, that makes excellent use of its references and is an amusing what-if continuation for its characters. For example, the characters poke fun at Alien Gondola for this infamous retreat from episode 4 of Ultra 7. And it's pretty funny. But even without the connections to the Ultra series, the girls are more endearing here, and the story boasts higher quality writing than Galaxy Days. Anyway, to quickly cover the other manga and light novels, the Beginning Stories light novel series, another Kanakawa project, started in 2016, and Ultra Journey Twin Tail Girl and Twin Tail Me by Kodansha started in 2017. These I didn't read, so please feel free to share details about them in the comment section if you're familiar with them. Next, in collaboration with the Underwater Niso series, fall 2016 saw the release of the Ultra Kaiju Knee-High Girls project, an underwater photo shoot with models dressed up as various kaiju from the Ultra series. To backtrack momentarily, things went in an animated direction in 2015 thanks to a crossover with the Haitai Naafa series, and in 2016 with the debut of a chibi web series. The crossover starred the pop version of the characters, and the latter series was based on the Kanakawa version. 2018 proved to be a highly productive year for the sub-series. In late January, an entertainment restaurant popped up called Kaiju Masume 6, where patrons could get a meal served to them by their favorite Ultra monsters and participate in Kaiju Clap Time. The limited time event will last a little over a year. A little later in the year, a second season of the chibi anime series dropped. Next, there was the release of a 2D side-scroller mobile game called Kaiju Girls Ultra Special Training Campaign. Finally, in November of 2018, a film called Kaiju Girls Black received a limited Japanese theatrical release. This is also set in the Galaxy Days continuity, and it gives the personalities of the manga leads to its own leads, those being kaiju from Ultraman Leo. For example, the camera-happy nature of Alien Guts from the manga is assumed by Silver Bloom. Yes, this is the human form of the same Silver Bloom responsible for this. And presumably the nightmares of countless video gamers. Like the manga it borrows from, Kaiju Girls Black is not exactly required viewing. At best, it's a serviceable distraction and a reminder that the pop version should have gotten a greater push instead. Moving on, at various points over the years, there were music and drama CDs, body pillows, and plenty of other merchandise. Basically, an entire sub-media franchise built around this concept. So yeah, the studio got a lot of mileage out of this concept. While I perfectly understand why this wouldn't appeal to someone, it's not anything worth despising or getting upset about. It's a neat little curiosity that doesn't insult or detract from the mainline series. Remember, sometimes branching out to reach new viewers is necessary to keep a property afloat, and it's okay not to like every installment in a series. It doesn't make you any less of a fan. By the way, in my digging I stumbled upon a few things that predate Ultra Kaiju Girls. The earliest example I found of this concept dates back to 1982 with Gundam Girls, which made its debut only a few years after the original Mobile Suit Gundam. Second, here's something that was apparently used to commemorate the 10th anniversary of Neon Genesis Evangelion back in 2005. Much like what I've spent the last several minutes talking about, this project reimagined angels as young women, even Karu. Unlike Ultra Kaiju Girls, it doesn't appear it lasted very long or produced much in the way of merchandise. Still, it's an interesting footnote. Third, winding the clock forward several years, Monster Musume made its initial debut in manga form in 2012, about a year before the first traces of Ultra Kaiju Girls. Then Monster Musume would get an anime adaptation in 2015 that would do quite well. There are plenty of differences between the two properties. Monster Musume is a ecchi harem comedy, and Ultra Kaiju Girls is a far tamer slice of life in all incarnations. But the timing there is interesting. Inspiration, coincidence, you decide. But there you have it. What Kaiju Girls is and why it exists. What's your take on all of this? Do you like it? Dislike it? Do you have a favorite design or a favorite piece of merchandise? Do you wish to hear more about something mentioned in this video? For the sake of keeping things even, would you like a video about Gundam Boys? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video and wish to see more like it, consider leaving a thumbs up, sharing, and subscribing to the channel. As always, thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll see you again next time.